Hey, Travels with Dottie here, and myself and Dottie. And today is my last day at the museum. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Rob. This is Dottie. And in the summers, I reside in Eagle Nest, New Mexico, which is in far north New Mexico at about 8,300 feet, surrounded by mountains and a beautiful lake. And I've been here for 2 summers, and I have become quite attached to the community. So much so that I am the volunteer in the Gateway Visitor Center and Museum here in town every Saturday. And this summer marks my last Saturday. It is September 13th, Saturday, and it's about 10:37. And this is a very different experience than any other Saturday. It's thundering and raining outside. Um, and check this out. This is new. Yeah, it's a little cool in here, believe it or not. And just like clockwork, um, anytime I've been in the museum and I've sat down to record, someone has shown up that interrupts the recording. But you know what? The recording is an interruption to time spent with visitors to the museum. That's the way to look at it, because that's what I'm here for. So I'm going to keep talking until I see somebody walk up on the porch. I did see a truck go around back, maybe. So it could be they're not stopping, but they could be. Either way, I can always hit the pause button and continue this, especially because I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I just felt like I needed to make a video on my last day in the museum. Um, a little bit about this area. There's quite a bit of history here. Eagle Nest, the village itself, is only about 107 years old. And the reason for that is it was created when a private landowner here took it upon themselves to create a dam, quite a substantial dam along a river here. And the dam created Eagle Nest Lake, and that was in 1918. And that created the little village of Therma, New Mexico. And as it turns out, in the first couple of years, the settlers here didn't really like the name Therma. They thought they were referring to themselves as Eagle Nest, the village of Eagle Nest versus Therma. And it looks like the post office finally surrendered in 1920, and they changed the name and the zip code designation to Eagle Nest, New Mexico. So it's been Eagle Nest ever since then. And we're largely surrounded here by private lands and ranches. There's right in the immediate area of the village, there's no national forest or BLM land. You have to go about 12 miles away towards Eagle Nest to find national forest land, or you can go towards Red River, and you will, if you go far enough, actually a little beyond Red River, between Red River and Cuesta, you'll find national forest land and campgrounds. And I did do people had often asked, where can I camp for free near Eagle Nest? And I wasn't able to really answer that question adequately for quite a long time. Because right around Eagle Nest, there's nowhere you can park for free. It's an RV park or someone's private property if you have permission. And I did find 14-day sort of informal disperse camping on National Forest Road 5, which is off Highway 64, which is the main drag coming through here. I did a video on that, and it's near on the other side of where Angel Fire is. So it's about 11 or 12 miles from here, but that's close enough, and you can camp there. It's a beautiful place for 14 days, provided you have a trailer that I'm going to guess mine would be the max 20, 21 feet. And ideally, camper vans and truck campers and tents would be the ideal there, especially tents. There are all sorts of options. And if you have four-wheel drive, at the end of the gravel road, there are sort of dirt roads that go off into the national forest. And I didn't brave that myself because my truck's not four-wheel drive, but I bet there's some beautiful places for tent camping and truck camping back in there. So I'll try to remember to tag that video at the end of this one. Um, I guess what I want to talk about is the reasons I love Eagle Nest so much. And certainly the obvious is it's absolutely stunningly beautiful. We're surrounded by majestic mountains. The elevation here is 8,300 feet, and that also lends to very temperate weather in the summer. I've never seen it get break 90 in 2 years. It's typical between 70 and 75 with nights cooling down. This time of year, it cools down to maybe the high 30s, or I've seen it as low as 38. But and there's a little bit of, you're in the mountains, so there's a little bit of rain every afternoon, but that's especially welcome when, say, you have an 80, 83-degree day. It's sunny, it's getting warm, the rains come through for about an hour in the afternoon, and everything cools down. And it's and the water sort of goes away pretty quickly on the ground after that. So it's scenic. I mean, 360 degrees, you're looking at the lake and mountains. You're absolutely surrounded by beauty in the Rocky Mountains. And we're only 30 miles straight north if you drew a line, and 30 miles from the Colorado border. So it's very Colorado-esque. So the weather, the beauty of it. But those aren't the top on my list. The top on my list I discovered when I first came here and stayed. My intent was to stay for a week in August, and I ended up staying um, uh, all the way through the middle of September because I found so quickly and fell in love so quickly with the people in the community here. The business owners, the citizens. I think the population is 300 something, not that many year-round residents, but I have yet to meet one that wasn't an absolute delight. And there's an RV park, not the one I stay at, but another one called Golden Eagle RV Resort. And I like to tell this story because it speaks to what the community's like here. I had a water leak in my trailer last year, and I couldn't figure out how to stop it. Um, so I went looking around for maybe a mobile RV mechanic, and there wasn't anybody anywhere near here. The closest population center is Taos, and it's about a 45, 50-minute drive away through a mountain pass, and Taos isn't that big. And I wasn't finding any mobile mechanics even in Taos. And online, I saw a comment somewhere, and I can't remember where. It said, there's a guy that owns the Golden Eagle RV Resort, and he's a mobile mechanic. But that's the only hint I had of that. I went to their website. There was no mention of it, no mention anywhere else. So I called him. It was a Saturday, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And the co-owner, he and his wife own it, his name's Nathan. Nathan answered the phone. And I said, I know this is a long shot, but I heard you guys might have a mobile mechanic there. And he just says, tell me what's going on. Where are you first? I said, well, I'm staying at Weathers RV Park. He said, okay, tell me what the situation is. And I said, well, I have a water leak. I can't figure it out. And he said, I'll be there in half hour. What? And true to his word, Nathan showed up, and he is an RV mechanic, as the owner of the RV resort. He shows up in less than 30 minutes, diagnoses my problem, and says, I need to get some parts, but I'll be back tomorrow morning, which was Sunday morning. And it ended up saying, oh, you don't have to come Sunday, come Monday. Anyway, I'm meeting a friend of mine tomorrow. So he did come Monday with the parts. And I tried to pay him something, a deposit or something in advance, and he wouldn't hear of it. And he came and he replaced some parts, some plastic joints and elbows with brass. And it's been last year. I don't know what he charged me, but it was like nothing. It was not nothing, but it was very, very inexpensive. So I got talking to him quite a bit, and it turns out he had bought the RV park from his parents who ran it for years and years, and that's all I knew about that at the time. But it's such a nice guy, and we got into a fairly long conversation, and I talked about how much I liked it there. And he said, Rob, let me tell you something about this town. I've been here pretty much a good part of my life. And being in Eagle Nest is like going back in time 30 or 40 years. And I'll never forget him saying that because as time went by, I found that statement to be very true. Very true. Um, I can't tell you exactly what the politics are in this area because people don't talk about national politics. At least I haven't had a conversation like that. Um, you know, it wasn't a few days until I decided, hey, I'm going to find a way to stay here the rest of the summer. And so I went to the owner of the RV park I was in, and I was in a spot for like a week, and someone else had it because these RV parks book up well in advance. And she said, well, I can probably work out something. Only, are you willing to boondock? And I said, are you kidding? Of course I'm willing to boondock. So we got along. We hit it off. Very, very friendly lady. Her name's Marty. And she she had just bought a plot of land that was adjacent to the RV park. And um, she said, I'll tell you what, I'll put you out there. And I have a 30 amp extension cord and I have an outlet I can run a cord out to you. And she offered to run water. And I said, really, I don't need water. I knew right away I found out that near where I was going to be was the standalone building that had bathrooms in it, not showers, but bathrooms. So I said yes to the electric, and I was like sort of by myself, separate from the RV park itself, up against a fence overlooking the lake and the mountains on the other side. And I was pretty much I had an RV site that was in like an acre in size, and I was in seventh heaven. And about a week later, she says, I got a spot for you. I'm ready to move you back. And I said, do I have to? And she goes, well, what do you mean? I said, can I stay where I am? She said, of course you can. She had that electric on a meter, so I could pay for the electric. And we'll be right back. Someone's come in. Well, I'm back, but it has been about 4 hours since you last saw me because somebody came in and then somebody else came in, and I ended up being the busiest day I've ever had here on a rainy, blustery, cold day. It was the busiest day I've had here in tons. Well, that's an exaggeration, but quite a few viewers came in to say hi and hang out, and a couple of them hang out for a real long time. And it was a super pleasure to have that experience. And so, as I recall, I was telling you how I initially got infatuated with Eagle Nest, and Marty, the owner of Weathers RV, had me out in the meadow next to the RV park, and I spent the rest of the summer there last summer, and she was gracious enough to let me do that again this year. And let me just say, she's had at least one person call and say, I want the same deal Rob has. Please don't do that. It's a unique arrangement between that I have, and please don't call up and ask for the same arrangement. So that was a little awkward. So please don't do that. I spent until about the middle of September last year, and then of course I came back around June 6th or 7th this year, and I've been here all summer, and developed this amazing friendship with Jack Schweitzer, who is the president of the board of directors for the museum. a permanent resident here in Eagle Nest, very active in the community, and a brilliant historian, an encyclopedic knowledge of history, wildlife, etc. You name it, he knows about it, and he'll tell you. He'll tell you if he doesn't know. If you ask a question, he doesn't know the answer, you'll get a answer. He might make it up. I'm kidding, of course, but I usually introduce him that way, and people think it's funny, and so does Jack. So anyway, Jack has introduced me to so many people here in town. So I feel more and more welcome every day in town as people recognize who I am. And some people say that they think I'm doing this just amazing service to the community. And all I'm doing is having fun and shooting videos. That's all I'm doing. The same thing I do in every town like Artesia or Quartzsite or Pahrump, towns that I've lived in. And it's just something's different about this. Something's very different about Eagle Nest. Usually, I have an RV retirement channel, Nomad channel. And when I stick to that topic, these days, if I get 1,000 views on a long form video, double thumbs up for me. I am ecstatic, right? And if I do something in an area that's not related directly to RVing, like, it won't do as well if it's off topic. That's the way that YouTube kind of works. If you do videos that aren't in what your audience is expecting, it doesn't do as well. But there's been a couple of notable exceptions here in Eagle Nest. It seems no matter what I do, as long as I'm showing where I'm staying in Eagle Nest and the beautiful views, I'm getting those, 800 to 1,000 views. But there was one I did that I expected a couple hundred views at the most. And that was impromptu. I sat down and interviewed a local real estate agent with American West Realty here in the village. Her name's Stacy Ewan. And it was totally unplanned. And I ended up sitting at her desk and pointing the camera at her and just asking off the cuff questions about real estate. It got over 2,000 views. So again, I'm starting a video and someone is showing up, so I'm going to have to shut it off. I'll be right back sometime. So that did not take long at all. It was a couple of young fellas that are up here for an elk hunt over in Cimarron, and they were intrigued by the look of the place and came in. And I showed them a video of an elk herd that Jack did a video of just this past January down the road, 1,500 of them crossing Highway 64. So that'll get the blood going if you're an elk hunter for sure. So back to how special things have been at Eagle Nest, and that there was that 2,000 plus views on just a real estate broker sitting at her desk answering questions shows you the interest that there is in this community. And I think there are a couple of surface reasons for that. One is the undeniable beauty of the topography and how charming the little village looks. But in addition to that, it's affordable. It's affordable. One of the first things I noticed last year is there is a planned development next to a museum here, and they're 1 acre plots, and they have water, sewer, and electric that I think if you buy a lot to hook it up, build a home and hook up the electric, it's like $2,000 some other dollars, nothing. So it's ready to go within a walking distance into the village. And I was shocked that the lot I saw a for sale sign on was $50,000. Like, is that a mistake? And that lot sold. I did a video on it, and a week later it was gone. And then this year there was another one sort of in the back of the development which is kind of a primo spot. It was like $48,000. You know, these communities in Colorado that are well known that have this kind of topography, land can go for easily 10 times that amount. I just saw a beautiful little, like a 3-bedroom home in town in the village that looked really great to me. That if I remember right, it was just under $300,000. So I know if you're my age, that sounds like a lot, but in the scheme of things, no, it's not these days. I think the median um, price across the whole country is like 350, and this was a big house, very nice, in a great location. So, and that was the asking price. Who knows what it'll really go for? So, I said those are the surface reasons that are. The real reason is what I talked about, where, this is like stepping back in time 30 or 40 years, the way people are and sort of the vibe in the relaxed atmosphere here and the openness and friendliness. There's local politics and there's debates and arguments and hard feelings over that kind of stuff, but there's not a community in this country that doesn't have some degree of that stuff. And I can tell you the only reason I know that stuff exists is because friends of mine that live here tell me a little bit about it, but it doesn't splash over. It's not anything obvious at all. So Eagle Nest, New Mexico is a really amazing place. And the more I spend time here, the stronger I feel about it. My friend Jack was in here visiting me during the day today, and I was telling him about a video I did. I'm on my e-bike, and I realized I passed a restaurant, and I said, you know what? Here I have the best grilled chicken sandwich I've ever had in my life. And then across the street was the saloon. I said, this is the best chili cheeseburger I've ever had in my life. And then I go to Rocky's, the convenience store, the woman there makes homemade breakfast sandwiches like sausage, egg, and cheese. And I said, this is the best. And I found the words coming out of my mouth, the best breakfast sandwich I've ever had in my life. And I'm like, boy, that seems really ingenuine to be in this little town in northern New Mexico that has a population of 350 people and naming 3 restaurants and 3 things that I had that it's the best I've ever had. It sounds like a wild exaggeration. Here's the thing. It's not. I don't have a motive to exaggerate and say things and if you're new, you might think, well, you probably exaggerate everything. If you've been with me a while, I'm pretty grounded and realistic and authentic, and I don't exaggerate. And I really gave some thought to, okay, first, that chicken sandwich I had, was that really the best one you've ever had? You've had a lot of chicken sandwiches in your life. You're 65 years old. Chick-fil-A makes a pretty damn good chicken sandwich, right? You've had chicken sandwiches your whole life. Maybe part of it was I didn't know what to order, and I just at random ordered the chicken sandwich, and I wasn't expecting much. Expectations can play a big role in this thing, but I do remember biting into it and my eyes popping open and go, "Oh, what just happened here?" Because the the seasoning, the tenderness, the flavor, everything seemed to be perfect. And I was alone in the restaurant because it had just opened and I was the only one in there. And I yelled over the kitchen. I said, "What did you do? I just was yelling, this is amazing." And the guy laughed and everything. But it was really an extraordinary thing. And the chili cheeseburger is a little bit more realistic because the chili cheese, they have a chili cheeseburger contest every year up here. And this guy that makes it in the saloon won last year. He won a big contest. So that's not that surprising. And I've had chili cheeseburgers all over New Mexico. everyone I've had has been good, but this one's better. Guess what is going to happen today? In it is 3:50 in 40 minutes. Jack's going to come by here. We're going to close the museum at 4:30, and he's going to buy me a chili cheeseburger there. Exciting. Now, the least likely one is at the Valero Rockies Market. It's just a convenience store. And up until the moment I had this breakfast sandwich there, I just considered it, hey, it's your typical convenience store at a gas station. Don't buy stuff there, grocery related stuff there, unless you really need to, because it's expensive. It's a convenience store. And that's not a dig on Rockies. That's every convenience store and a gas station anywhere. I don't remember the day this year, but I was looking at their hot foods and I was really hungry. It was morning and I saw the breakfast sandwiches. So I said, I'll take one of those, see if it's any good. I'm a big fan of, English muffins with sausage, egg, and cheese. I like them. And I bought it and I went out and I sat down on a table. They have a little table with an umbrella out front. And I bit into this sandwich. And the same thing that happened with the chicken sandwich happened with that. And I'm like, whoa, what just happened here? And I've had two or three since then, so it wasn't a fluke. And I met the lady that is she, I believe it's her and her husband own the place or at least manage it. I don't know what the relationship is, but she cooks them. She makes them. There is hot stuff that she buys from somewhere else and they're wrapped and labeled, but these things she makes. I talked to her about it. And it's $3. There's $3.08 or something. And I nothing has come close. I bought some frozen ones. I think at a grocery store recently, there were two in a package. And I heated one up and I took a bite and it was so awful I threw it away. But these things are so I'm trying not to sound like I'm exaggerating because this little town in the middle of northern New Mexico, you have three things that you are saying the best you've ever had. I'm sorry, it's just true. As unlikely as that seems, it's completely true. My plans are right now to return again next June and do this all over again and do videos all over again. And I just love it here. And I'm a little sad. It's, another 37 minutes and I'm going to close the museum and visitor center for the last time for this summer. For me, they're going to keep it. It'll be open for a while. And I think they're open around Thanksgiving and they're open around Christmas time. But as far as being consistently open 3 days a week, that's just the summer and that's coming to an end soon. I don't know exactly when that happens, probably towards the end of this month, beginning of October. But today was amazing that was a rainy, cold day and people were pouring in all day. And I had a blast, especially those of you that watched the channel and came here to meet this one and this one. I really appreciate you coming. And it was a pleasure spending time with all of you. Um, uh, I can't think of what else to say about it. You know, I'm going to have that last chili cheeseburger with Jack, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to hook the trailer up to the truck and get everything set that I can for tonight. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to go through my checklist and I'm going to head home to Artesia. And I should be there about 3 or 4 in the afternoon, I'm going to guess, if everything goes well. And I will say you're not going to see Artesia content for a while because I have, including this one, I'll have, after I do this one tonight, I'll have long form videos scheduled out through the 19th of this month, which is Friday. So probably the first one will be the first one Artesia related will be filming from the trip tomorrow and the arrival at home. So that's a week from today. Wow. Time flies when you get up there in years. When you're 65, time flies. And I don't want to waste a moment of it. I'm 65. I'm healthy. I'm happy, happier than I've ever been in my life. And an argument to be made, maybe healthier than I've been in a really long time. And if you're younger than I am, take the shortcut and start being excited and grateful for every day you have on this beautiful earth. Because when you get older, that will automatically happen. But if you can do that sooner as opposed to later, like some people are able to do it. Love your life. You never know when it's gonna come to an end. You don't get to make that decision. And every day is an amazing, exciting blessing, isn't it, Dottie? You think, isn't every day a blessing, don't you think? Yes. She agrees. Dottie agrees. Thanks for watching. And I absolutely am very grateful. I'm trying to get to my control panel here for you watching my videos, watching Dottie and I, and if you're a loyal viewer, thank you so much. If you're here just one time and you never come back, I'm still grateful for you watching this video, especially if you made it this far. You're my hero. Thank you.